Hello and welcome back to the workshop. This time I'm just going to come back to where it all began for me with pen turning. I watched a video by Brothers Make and they were showing you what things you could do with HDPE. So I thought, well, I'll have another go and bring you along for the journey, and hopefully you will see me make this. So enjoy, and I'll see you at the other side. At the start of all this we need a blank to work to. So what I've done over a period of time is, let's just move that a little bit for you. Right, there we go. I've got a bag of their old milk bottles, literally just melted up and run through a press. That was an old finish powder refill. Milk bottles, lids, pop bottles. Somebody I know drinks the pasteurised milk, and then there's also a random selection of different ones. So what I've managed to find out for my pen press, there we go, is that I need about 40 grams or there and thereabouts. So what I've already pre-measured out is, so I've got a mixture of colours there, blues, there's a red, some white, and we'll see how that goes. Now I'm going to use a Panini press. I was lucky enough to pick one of these up from a charity shop, I think it was, and it was a £5. It works. I'm not planning to cook anything on it, so it should do the trick. So let me just readjust the camera and we can I can show you a bit more. These are some silicone stroke Teflon reusable oven liner things I've picked off eBay and just cut them to roughly the size that suits for what we want. Gets a bit hot after a while, even with the gloves on. Ooh. It's just a case of working it to the colour that you're reasonably happy with, and it still gets hot very quick. I think we're somewhere very close to that. So we're about ready, I think. I've brought my little pen mould over. Squash that. Hopefully you can see what I'm trying to do. Not very well probably. Apologies. So that's pushed into there, and I'll bring you back in a minute when I can do. It's all a bit hot. There we have it, and that little press squished up. It's nothing fancy. All we're just trying to do is get a shape. Oh, there we go. And it's still hot, very hot. HDPE chunks are out of the mould. I wanted to see whether how these would cut on a table saw. I have no idea. So, and they cut fantastic. I mean, that one's a bit of an odd shape, admittedly, but that's just because I don't think I actually ended up using enough material. But off camera, I also went ahead and did another two, and they've came out fine. There's a blue, the black one, which is pretty cool. Very happy with that one. I like that one. And I will, off camera, cut these to the required length. Mainly because you've seen me do this in the previous video, so it seems a bit silly. And I shall be back when we come to drill, because there is a slight variation on the drilling compared to wood or probably acrylic. So I'll be back. That took a bit more persuasion than I was expecting, but it's in. I just about hopefully see that. Yeah, I had to take a hammer to it, gently of course, but and that was a 6.8mm drill. Thing is, with HDPE you cannot glue or use glue. You have to be step down in the drill side just a fraction, and in my experiments with it I found a 6.8 drill is about the right size. Still a little bit tight on the, but you know, it goes in, doesn't seem to distort the barrel, so I think we're on to a winner there. I think I would recommend, if you're going to have a go yourself, just try it on a bit of scrap or your offcut from one of these, you know, just to make sure before you go too far. You can always take a bit more out. It's a bit more difficult adding it back in. So that's what I found. So I will carry on and do the others. A couple of quick updates as to the last video and this little drilling jig. Clamping it down makes so much difference to work holding and accuracy. And the other thing that I've also discovered, because I think if anybody remembers, I put a gap or raised this piece up, and it is then screwed down in about 3 places. But what I've also, you need to do is do the same. Where are we? Let me see if I can, there we go. This is then raised up the same, because otherwise it was just dropping. So now it goes together and everything closes up at the same point. Hopefully you can see what I'm trying to say here. So that this is level still, and it clamps it level. It's just a little note, but I think it's worth making the point of. Unfortunately, what I've managed to get is a blowhole. I think what I'll have to do is fill it. just heating up the shavings just on a palette knife, whatever you like, under a flame, as you can well hear in the background, but I'm keeping it well away from the wood and everything else. Seems to have got it. As you can see, I bought the micro mesh tiny pads. They range from 1500 grit all the way up to 12,000. Just need some water just to keep them lubricated at a reasonable speed. I think it's about 1,000 or something like that. I could be wrong on that. And again, it's the same polishing as the wooden version, which is radially and then across. Right, so I won't bore you with the rest of them, but that's the principle. Okay, so we've got to the end of using the micro mesh, and I'm going to give it a buff with this. You could also use something like T-cut or such, but I'm quite happy with this stuff. Right, time for assembly. Right, so we are finished, and there is the final product, as I'm sure you saw at the start of the video. But in the process I also carried on off camera and made this one, which I quite like actually. There was a third one, which was the black and white one, and unfortunately that just didn't make it. The biggest problem I'm having with using HDPE for pens especially, it's that you've got all the bubbles or blowholes, whatever you like to call them, and I can't seem to figure out how to stop them appearing, or at least how to even repair them at the moment. So if anybody has any tips they'd like to share with anybody else, I would be most grateful. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Take care. Cheers.